Stand by. The program will begin soon.
There's an example yesterday I saw of this woman who's been here. We might even play this clip. She's been here 20 years. She has 3 kids who were born here. Her kids are because of birthright citizenship, which is another subject that's coming up. And she's never bothered to even try to resolve her immigration status. Not in 20 years. She has never tried to resolve her immigration status. Not through Republican presidents, not through Democratic presidents, nothing. And so now, she's worried about being deported because they put out the sob story of this woman. Well, that's not the average person they're even looking at right now. The average person they're looking at crossed in the last 3 years are CNN is cutting jobs to embrace the digital future. No, because they're cutting jobs because, as I like to say, they suck. CNN is undergoing significant restructuring, planning to lay off about 200 employees, which constitutes approximately 6% of its workforce. This move is part of a broader strategy under CEO Mark Thompson to pivot towards a digital-first approach, focusing on expanding digital subscriptions and reducing costs from traditional TV operations. Wait a minute. Didn't they already try the CNN subscription service, which failed miserably? Which, if you truly have compassion for trans kids, you would allow them to all go through puberty, because 90% of kids who think they're trans change their mind once they go through puberty. That puberty is the fix for most of the problems. But you guys want the medicalization of kids and sterilization of kids and medical and surgical altering of kids who can't make that decision at 12 years old or 13 years old. Diablo asks, why is it when I try to show empathy and concern, people always misconstrue it? Last time I asked someone if their mom at least got a good check from the clinic that botched the abortion. Oh! Oh, God. Damn it, AD. I think you just need to find a gentle way.
Stand by. The program will begin soon.
I would be willing to bet everything I own that submitting a 22-minute video montage that shows the most egregious acts of violence you can find from that day, when the defendant in question is on that video for only 6 seconds and the scene walking calmly, is highly prejudicial and a violation of the defendant's due process rights. The person was found guilty and sentenced to 19 months in prison. Now, it took 2 hours to read through all of the documents that were in the case file. Every motion submitted by the defendant was denied. Every motion by the defendant was denied. How often does that happen? And every motion submitted by the government was granted. They turned a trespass misdemeanor that would have resulted in a $50 ticket into 5 misdemeanors and a felony charge by charging the defendant with a statute that would have required the Secret Service to rope off the section he was in, which they did not. They also charged him with a statute that would have been required them to prove Mike Pence was in the building at the time he walked through that corridor. He was not. And they used an Enron statute that the Supreme Court struck down. You accept a pardon, you are admitting guilt. Period. That's the, because you can't be pardoned if you're not guilty.
Whether he can preemptive pardon, whether he can issue President's reportedly asking his staff whether he can issue preemptive pardons for himself, his family members, Rudy Giuliani. There's a simple answer: no. No, Mr.
Oh,
that
you
would be a
can't?
gross abuse
Oh,
of the presidential
it's a
pardon authority.
gross abuse.
President-
A presidential pardon authority. Well, there you go. You accepted a pardon, Adam Kinzinger. You think you may have committed a crime. Oh, here, J.B. Raskin. Dirty Q-tip. Dirty Q-tip, J.B. Raskin. What else? What did he have to say?
Well, the seeking of pardons is
Yes, it's only on
powerful
one side.
demonstration of the consciousness of guilt, or
Ah,
at least the consciousness that you may be in trouble.
J.B.
And that's
Raskin.
what's so shocking
Did he get a
about this.
pardon also? Wasn't he on
Well,
that
the
committee?
seeking of pardons is
He was on that committee. I'm curious if you're going to condemn that part. You're going to condemn that pardon.
Joe Biden pardoned a lot of people. Yeah, he should answer for that and explain.
Lots of murderers, lots of drug dealers, lots of people who killed people, commuted the sentence of a couple murderers. One who, in fact, one drug dealer who people died from taking the drugs that they sold them.
Stand by. The program will begin soon.
The Obama Aniston rumors have gone wild. Rumors have emerged on social media that suggest Barack and Michelle Obama might be heading towards divorce, with speculators linking Barack Obama to actress Jennifer Aniston. Those rumors have gained traction following Michelle Obama's absence from Jimmy Carter's funeral and the inauguration, and are based on tabloid stories and social media speculation without solid confirmation from the individuals involved. So far, they're still rumors, and I don't know why people are perpetuating them, but it is kind of fun to perpetuate rumors like that. No one's come out to, out and out deny anything. That's the weird part.
We should just take a deep breath and acknowledge the audacity.
The
of a
audacity!
president who's so clearly
The
concerned about his own
audacity!
criminal culpability.
Oh my God, his own criminal culpability and his son's business dealings. I know that they're talking about Joe Biden, aren't they?
And that of his family members.
Like the boy asked, are cats really soul suckers? Yes. Yes. That's why I'm not into cats. Dogs, man. I'm a dog guy. Avocado Stably, is there an aisle in the grocery store that is less objectionable to have sex in? Where do you come up with this shit? Dude.
Has done something no person in the world has ever done before. A dead man, a dead politician has risen.
Yes.
Somebody who 4 years ago at Davos, he's buried, a dead.
And I wonder how many people at Davos have been funding Donald Trump's demise that has failed. I wonder how many people at Davos, again, let me say it again. I wonder how many people at Davos have been funding what they had hoped would be Trump's demise. I bet you there's a few of them there. And it didn't work, did it now? Didn't work now, did it?
Politically known to me. He's now returned. This is the greatest comeback in political history of a politician. And then, therefore, he thinks he can do anything.
At the end of the show, every day on my show, if I put something on the screen or I'm talking about it, or it's a topic or an article that I'm presenting in this show, I provide links to every single thing that I've talked about, and even more, the ones I didn't even get to. I drop them in the chat at the end of the show, and also I drop them in the description. So if you want to find these articles, they will be in the links at the end of the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only Dawg Knight.
Yeah, baby. Are you ready? I am. Let's do this thing. Did I change the thumbnail? I think I did. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as PDawgKnight on the internet. And welcome back to the Dawg Knight Channel. I got to sing the national anthem at the Twins game last night with my choir that I'm in, and that was fun. I'll post it somewhere eventually. I think I have on my Marty's Big Journey channel, but I thought it was pretty cool. Unfortunately, it rained most of the day, and a lot of people didn't show up. But yeah, that was cool. It was a good, fun experience. We sounded great. My wife recorded it. It was cool. So, that was nice. Anyway, that's all I got for small talk today. Let's just get started because I got quite a bit of stuff open here. I wanted to make sure. Oh, where's there? I'm gonna move this over to the mayor stuff. Yeah, this guy won the Democratic mayoral primary yesterday in New York City, and everyone's talking about it like it's their city. And I'm thinking, does this really affect me? Maybe, maybe not. And who knows if he's even going to win the general election. But it'll be interesting. We'll talk about that today and a bunch of other stuff. Anyway, let's say hi and let's get it going because, like I said, I got a lot to talk about. First, the chat today is, of course, Mr. Avocados Diablo, who gets the bell. And, it's his and a cheer and his theme music. Also, good morning, Mike Savage, Blarg, Kara Soldier, what's up? Good morning, Lord Stanhope, JB's in the house, Somnambul Nation. Also, where's everybody? Resolute Germ, what's up? Nice to have you here. The Pope's here. Pope Tyrannus III, the Blessed Lich, blessings of the sacred undead be upon you. May you rejoice for this day that he hath made just for you. There you go. Also, hi to Aaron Meredith. Welcome again. Desert Tramps in the house. And that's kind of it. There's, how many people are 13? There's only 13 people here. Well, eventually, people will get that notification, and they'll be like, "Cow Cobb running!" Hit the like button, though, because even with only 13 people, there should be more than 4 likes. Let's get started. FTG, and yeah. Oh, it is Thursday, isn't it? Yeah, it's FTG Thursday. You might as well go ahead and get that FTG out for Zohan or whatever. Every time I see the name, I think of the Adam Sandler movie where he cuts hair, and what's that called? The Amazing Zohan, but that's not, it's not this guy. Anyway, and the scene in that movie where he's slapping somebody with his feet, which was just disgusting, if you ask me. But anyway, I almost want to make a graph and see how often AD gets the bell. I'm guessing at least 90%. Well, this is Johnny on the spot. What do you expect? Anyway, thanks to all the people sharing the stream, too. As usual, I like to acknowledge those who do. And we're going to start with Somnambul Nation. Link in description. As in, well, you can see, if you can see that. You can't see it because I don't have it on the screen. Duh. There you go. Link in description. Thank you for tweeting out the show even before me. Mike Savage dropped a like and a let us go. There you go. Let's repost that. Oh, I got to repost the other one. What am I doing? And link in description, which is a cute title there. Lincoln D. Description. That's clever. Also, we got. How did you know? This is my guy right here. This is my guy, but what the hell is he painting there? That looks kind of scary. Anyway, Chutulu would want you to share this stream. Well, hell yeah. Also, thank you, JB, with a let's go. That fat biker dude. That's cool. I'll repost that too. And then the Daily Wrestler is this. What's it? He's the American Dreams kid, right? Cody something. American Dream Dusty. Cody Rhodes, is that his name? He's kind of had. He has had quite the. He's had quite the career of changing options because no one thought much from him. Then he was that Gold Dust nonsense. And now he's back to being, I guess, another American Dream kind of thing. Who knows? Hello, TC, by the way. And then, I should post that. Thank you, Resolute Germ, for the Daily Wrestler. And speaking of Daily Wrestler, then we also got our Daily Ric Flair. Let the party begin. Woo! Thank you, Tyre Alexander, a.k.a. the Pope. All the people retweeting the show. Great. Thank you, Tyre Alexander. Link in description, aka Sound Double Nation, JB, and Resolute Germ. And then TC, as often does, posted their own post of the show. I appreciate that. Any way you can do it, if you hit the link at the top of the chat there and give me a let's go or whatever, it just gets more people noticing the show, and that's always a good thing. I'm going to unpin that message, though. So thank you, everyone who does that. Greatly appreciated. Let's get into the stuff. Today, there must have been a lack of holidays because what am I featuring? Well, I'm featuring National Chocolate Pudding Day. Happy National Chocolate Pudding Day. Now, that little snack pack cup looks kind of gross for some reason. There's another version of chocolate pudding that someone else made. But yeah, rich and creamy, oh so creamy. Dessert lovers are celebrating today. It's National Chocolate Pudding Day. Okay, yay. Fantastic. And then other silly holidays today. National Sarah Day. If your name is Sarah, well, it's your day. Forgiveness Day. On Forgiveness Day, let go of grudges and spread love and kindness to those who have hurt you. A day to heal relationships and find inner peace. Fuck that. Next, National Bomb Pop Day. No, wait a minute. Why would they put pictures of things that are not bomb pops on National Bomb Pop Day? The only true bomb pop is this red, white, and blue thingy. That's the only one. I'm just saying. International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking. Well, that's a tough one. There's only one of those. National Zachary Day, National Barcode Day. Oh, why would you have a National Barcode Day? And then National Beauticians Day and National Work From Home Day. So there you go, which I do on the daily by doing this show. So there you go. There weren't any significant celebrity birthdays other than Ariana Grande, and I'm like, who cares? Also, the NBA draft started yesterday, and some people are upset that two white guys that were in the top 5 picks, the top pick, Cooper Flags, I guessed, and otherwise, who gives a shit? I'm so not into the NBA anymore. But Cooper Flag is trending. Oh my gosh, what? This joke is funny. What if every team passes on Cooper Flag and the Lakers get him with the 55th pick tomorrow? Yeah, that didn't happen. But some people are like, oh, all this Cooper Flag hype for him to average 16 points his whole career. Dude is so overrated. He played at Duke, and trust me, he'll be a good NBA player. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. That's enough about the NBA. Let's see what else. Okay, things that are Oh, and also today is the 10th anniversary of the Obergefell decision, which I guess forced states to legalize gay marriage, so to speak. And I've, look, I'm torn on this. I don't know why. I'm not sure why the federal government has a requirement to have gay marriage. Although I'm not against gay people being married. In fact, I just went to a gay wedding, it's a wedding that was 2 women that married each other, and I don't care. It's like, contrary to popular opinion, I don't think the government sanctioning your marriage means very much, other than for doing taxes maybe. But it's like, I've never understood why the idea of it having to be, I don't understand the concept of having it be illegal, nor have understanding of the concept of having it be legal, unless it's like there may be a compelling interest in the state to make like a marriage between a brother and sister illegal, but otherwise it has no business being in your life. And for example, I've known gay people or homosexual people were getting married in the 80s without any government sanction, but they just did, because your marriage is between you and the person you marry, not between you and the government. So anyway, I struggle with the court's compelling states to do this, but I don't, most people don't give a shit. You know, if you here's my whole thing on this. If you're gay, good for you. It's your business. I'm not trying to get none. So you do you. And if gay people want to be married, I don't care. If whether it's sanctioned by the government doesn't make any difference to me. So, but I guess to some people it does. Good morning, Special K on Acid, on my favorite list, or my honorable mention list of favorite Canadians. And who else just showed up? Blue Eyed Screams here. Anna Lynn, or excuse me, Anon 1, 2, 3 is here. Have I missed anybody? I think TC, I saw you earlier, so we're good. So anyway, but there's people celebrating this. Now, and some people are still not happy about it. Mainly how the courts did it. Again, this is kind of like, I can't remember their grounds for this, but anyway. Somebody says Obergefell shifted the gravitational center of family law from children to adults. It enshrined adult desire above children's fundamental right to be known and loved by their mother and father. By judicial fiat, the justice triggered a legal overhaul that recast children not as persons with intrinsic needs, but as possessions to be cut, pasted, and arranged to satisfy adult desires. Their identity blurred, their development disrupted, their safety ignored. Now a coalition of child defenders is rising. Together we are forging a culture and legal movement to confront this judicial injustice and restore a world where marriage protects children rather than victimizes them. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've got to see how the kids belong in the mines as soon as they can crawl. Now, I just want kids to be in a loving family. I'm not a fan of single sex adoption or baby making to just have so people can have babies, whatever. On this day in 2015, the Supreme Court struck down all state bans on same-sex marriage, legalized it in all 50 states, and required states to honor out-of-state same-sex marriage licenses in the case of Obergefell versus Hodges. So that's where what happened, and that was 10 years ago today, and lots of people are celebrating that, and I'm just like, I'm glad that people can be happy. I don't care what they do in their personal lives. It doesn't affect me. Parliamentarian is trending. Now, this is an interesting thing that happened in the United States Senate. Apparently, well, here's the story. Here's a story in the Daily Caller, I believe. Yeah. GOP senators act cool as former Gore advisor kills provision in Trump bill. Now, the former Gore advisor is the parliamentarian in the United States Senate, which begs the question: why is there a partisan parliamentarian still in the United States Senate? President Donald Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill is growing smaller as an unelected official continues to strike certain provisions from the Senate's draft, a development that GOP senators are largely shrugging off as part of normal business. Senate parliamentarian Elizabeth McDonough, a purported nonpartisan arbiter of the upper chamber's rules, is reining in Republicans' legislative ambitions as GOP leaders race to pass Trump's landmark bill by his self-imposed July 4th deadline. Though McDonough has already flagged 32 provisions that will have to be struck or revised in order to pass the budget bill by a simple majority vote, Senate Republicans show no signs of questioning her authority nor calling for her removal. Well, you know what? I'm going to guess it's because most of them agree with it. Quote, I think first and foremost that's their job. Republican West Virginia Senator Jim Justice, who began serving in January, told the Daily Caller on Tuesday. They're doing their job. The second thing is, how often do we try to jam so many things into one thing? Well, look, I would prefer. Now, this is a continuing resolution. I don't know why they're doing this right now. I can't remember, but the fact that we're doing another continuing resolution omnibus type bullshit bill, maybe slowing it down is a good idea. I don't know. Fellow Civic Magic, what did she take out? Well, that's what we're going to get to. At the end of the day, I'm real proponent that we've got a terrific bill with a lot of good in it. Justice continue. Let's hope we all walk away. We did get everything we wanted, but we got that overall. What we got overall is something overall that's really good. Easy for me to say. McDonough is an appointee of the late former Democrat Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid and formerly advised then Vice President Al Gore on Senate procedure in 2000 during the certification of President George W. Bush's electoral win. Although she was appointed to her role under a Democratic majority, Senate Republicans appear to view McDonough as an integral part of the upper chamber's daily workings. In her role as parliamentarian, she advises the presiding officer, often junior Republican senator, to interpret Senate procedure. 5 Republican senators, including Justice, who spoke with the Daily Caller on Tuesday, defended McDonough's influential role in the so-called budget reconciliation process, which allows GOP senators to steer around Democratic opposition by passing tax and spending legislation by a simple majority vote. And I think maybe that's what they're trying to avoid, that having things blocked because they're not budget items. If only budget items, I guess, can be passed on a simple majority vote. McDonough is responsible for administering a 6-part test to ensure sections of the bill comply with rules regarding proposals to directly affect spending or revenue with little or no budgetary impact or effect on policy. Though the parliamentarian rulings can be seen as subjective, GOP senators appear to view McDonough as acting in good faith. Senate Republican Montana Senator Tim Sheehy, another freshman senator, told the Daily Caller on Tuesday that GOP senators expected the parliamentarian to knock some of the provisions out of the Senate draft proposal. They're not telling us what yet. And so we got him, we got Tuberville, let's see, who's just saying, oh yeah, we've got to comply. Senate parliamentarian has yet to rule on whether major elements of the Senate plan, including tax cuts and reforms to Medicaid, adhere to the constraints of budget reconciliation. Most of them went through that we're excited about. Republican Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville told the Daily Caller, we'll argue with some of them we won't. Okay, this seems to be an article not wanting to tell us what the hell they're looking for. McDonough is currently reviewing a spate of challenges from Senate Democrats, arguing that certain provisions of the draft bill violate stringent rules underpinning the budget reconciliation process, giving her outsized influence over the president's domestic policy agenda. The Senate's draft bill includes a permanent extension of the 2017 Trump's tax cuts, granting America across-the-board reduction in marginal income tax rates, boost the defense spending and immigration enforcement, and sweeping reforms to Medicaid as part of an effort to enact the largest cut to mandatory spending in American history. Senate Democrats have pledged to contest a wide swath of provisions within the package, casting the parts of the bill McDonough strikes out as procedural victories. So this article goes on and on and on. What are the specifics? Sorry, really late. Tired today because we were up late because of the baseball game last night. There's nothing here that says anything specific. So I go back into the topic on X. Here's what's there's people reacting to this, and maybe there'll be something here. Breaking. Democrats have been exposed of using this far-left Senate parliamentarian appointed in 2012 under Obama to block Trump's agenda. She's trying to require Trump to obtain 60 votes in the Senate instead of 50 plus 1. Elizabeth McDonough must be stopped. Is she just doing her job like someone said in the chat? I don't know. Gunther Eagleman, who's 100% Trump all the time, which is, I mean, I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying that's just give you some context. Says call to action. Did you know that the recommendations made by the Senate parliamentarian are recommendations and don't have to be considered the ultimate authority? We need John Thune to grow a spine and keep Trump's agenda in the big beautiful bill. What? I don't think. I wish they wouldn't have named it that. That's not all that beautiful. It would be beautiful if they actually cut spending across the board. But, that's me. I'm, just kind of thing. Okay, here's one. Meet Elizabeth McDonough. She is the Senate parliamentarian. Not one American voted for her, but she is attempting to legislate for Americans. She wants to deny the Americans the mandate we voted for. Well, I haven't seen it yet, but who knows? Remember when Senate Democrats were literally screaming that Elon was an unelected person running Doge? Well, they neglected to tell you this. The Senate parliamentarian is an unelected position. The Senate parliamentarian is appointed by and serves at the pleasure of the Senate majority leader. They are not elected by the public nor by the Senate. Incumbent parliamentarian Elizabeth McDonough has held office since 2012, appointed by then Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid. If the GOP's senators and John Thune aren't going to do or say anything about this, I will. What the fuck is an unelected person doing by gutting the big beautiful bill? I'm curious. Now, I really want to know what she's taking out. All right, let's watch one TikTok type of dude talk about this, and then we're going to move on because I've spent too much time on this already. We'll learn more later. And this is what's his name? I can't remember. Well, this is not him. I don't know his name. The something millennial or the older millennial, he calls himself. Before we click play, though, thank you, Avocados Diablo, for sponsoring the show. You are the new Streamlabs superstar sponsor of the day. Who says one of the proposals she struck down was a repeal of EPA emission standards. Pretty clearly not a budget item. True. And that would cause them to have, if it's not a budget item, it makes it so they have to get 60 votes, and we don't want that, but we'll see. All right, here's the older millennial talking about this. I don't know the guy's name.
This one unelected bureaucrat is trying to remove every single thing the American people voted for in the big beautiful bill. Like every single thing that was a fulfillment of Donald Trump's campaign promises. Yes, she is working to remove every single one of them. This is Elizabeth McDonough, and she is the Senate parliamentarian. She is a Democrat who was not elected. She didn't vote on the big beautiful bill. She's not a part of it in any way, but she feels that she has the right to remove whatever she wants from it. And she also feels that she doesn't have to answer to a single elected official nor a single American about it. Now, what are the things she's trying to remove from the bill?
Now, well, in a way, she still has to answer the senators, and if the Republican majority does not agree with it or sees it as something that she may have done erroneously, they can certainly speak up, but so far none of them have.
Well, right off the bat, she wants to remove the ability of states to enforce immigration law. She wants to cancel
not a budget item.
Any leases on offshore drilling.
Could be a budget item, I'm not sure.
Making it so that no time in the future under the Trump administration can we do any exploratory drilling. She wants to eliminate any cuts in funding to the deep state, making it so that the funding for unelected...
Those are budget items.
The bureaucrats like her don't change a cent. She wants to increase power to federal judges to be able to sue the Trump administration over anything.
Well, she has no power to do that. She's just the Senate parliamentarian.
To eliminate the work requirement for SNAP. Oh, and the funding for all those smaller...
That could be considered a budget item.
Organizations in the government that were costing us millions and doing nothing. Yes, she wants to make it so that the bill has to restore funding to all of them.
No.
pretty much eliminating any savings whatsoever for the taxpayer. She wants to restore the funding to the Postal Service to keep buying electric vehicles, even though there's not enough money to build the infrastructure to actually keep them working.
No.
She wants to eliminate all the changes the Trump administration had put on there for the EPA. She wants to restore funding to Planned Parenthood. Oh, and this last one is just chef's kiss. She wants to eliminate the changes to the REINS Act, which would have given power back to Congress over big regulations. No, she wants that power to remain with unelected people like her. So basically,
as I listen to this, I don't know how much this is accurate, but so about half the stuff that he's talked about, or a little bit less than half maybe, are not budget items that maybe should be in different legislation. But I get it.
She did was she went into the big beautiful bill. She found everything that Democrats disagree with, and she just started crossing it out. Just said, I don't agree with this, it's got to go. And somehow, even though members of the House that we elected voted on it, the members of the Senate that we elected voted on it, and the president approved it, she thinks she just gets to remove all of it. And if you stay quiet on this, she might get away with it. So let's do our best to make Elizabeth McDonough famous, because we should know the name of deep state bureaucrats who try to override our government. They shouldn't be able to just stay in the shadows.
Okay. Not the worst argument in the world. If some of it. So let's see. Yeah, there's still people talking about this. Congressman Jeff Van Drew, the Senate parliamentarian, has already blocked major parts of the House Republicans' one big beautiful bill. Respecting the rules matters, but she does so respecting the rules matters, but so does respecting the voters. They didn't give an unelected staffer the power to decide what is in the budget. That's the job of Congress. Well, in a sense, though, they do, in a way. And so I guess the other article didn't tell me what specifically she was taking out of it. Now she's just taking shit out willy-nilly that Democrats disagree with. That's not right. Okay. The other people, the other side was voted in. So anyway, there you go. That's in a nutshell what that story's about.
Unelected bureaucrat is trying to
hold up there. All right, dude. There you go. All right. I'm going to move on. NATO's trending just because people are still talking about NATO from this NATO summit recently. There's a video of, I think, is the Queen of the Netherlands? No, Norway still has a queen where she kind of mocks Trump for a little bit, and that's gone viral a little bit, but I didn't even pick it up. But here, Trump is back from the NATO summit after this guy says after flipping the entire NATO summit on its head. He didn't just talk tough. He got our allies to commit to 5% GDP in defense spending. That's over double the old deal. One day, one president, one standard, America first. Other people, let's see, it's NATO here. Just in, President Trump announced he's convinced NATO allies to boost their defense spending to a whopping 5% GDP. Only Trump could pull that off. Now they'll be spending an extra $700 billion on their own defense instead of taking advantage of us. So this is Trump announcing that. Let's play that. Here we go.
Major focus of our conversations at the summit was the need for other NATO members to take up the burden of the defense of Europe, and that included the financial burden. As you know, it was 2%, and we got it up to 5%. And they said, a couple of them came up to me. One in particular said, sir, we've been trying to get it up to 3% for 20 years, and we haven't been able, and you got it up to 5%. So they're going to be, most of them, I guess almost all of them, are going to be contributing now 5%, a number that people are surprised at, but you need it today. The United States accounts for 2/3 of all NATO defense spending. And since I began pushing for additional commitments in 2017, believe it or not, our allies have increased spending by $700 billion. I said to people, you don't have any money, and a lot of them weren't paying. And so I started the process, and I picked it up as soon as I got back, which is 6 months.
Nope, didn't mean to do that.
Ago. And following my election last November, almost all have accelerated plans to reach the 2%, 3%, 4%, and then ultimately, very quickly, 5%. And all of this is going to be done very quickly, almost immediately. You probably know this as well as I do. I'm sure they've been talking about it. It's really been a big...
Okay. So, now, I hope that's correct. And because I know with the situation with Ukraine and Russia, some of those countries have already decided that they are going to step up their own production and sometimes that might have been a chess move by Trump anyway. Good morning, Miss Wild Wolf. And so, yeah, I guess, getting them to step it up a bit in their own defense makes it easier for us. Let's see. Now this is the other thing. The NATO chief just announced too that spending will be equalized between NATO members and the U.S. with Trump by his side. For too long, one ally, the United States, has carried too much of the burden. President Trump, you made this change possible. So that's, you know what? That's a voice besides Trump saying it too. So it helps solidify that.
One ally, the United States, carried too much of the burden of that commitment. And that changes today. President Trump, dear Donald, you made this change possible. Your leadership on this...
Now, is this guy just buttering him up and they're really not going to do anything? Or are they actually going to do this? I hope, it would be great if they would do it. I still wonder why Zelensky was even in the picture.
It's already produced $1 trillion in extra spending from European allies since 2016. And the decisions today will produce trillions more for our common defense to make us stronger and fairer by equalizing spending.
Oh, she looks happy.
Between America and America's allies.
Is that the one from Italy? I think it's that chick from the Prime Minister of Italy. Anyway, also speaking, and there's the picture of Zelensky there. Why is Zelensky there? He's not part of NATO. Representative Anna Polina. President Trump did what no Democrat or Republican before him could. He brokered peace between Iran and Israel. Did he? Are they actually in a full ceasefire now? Hello, Selecta Boy. What's up? Yeah, boy. Here's from CNN. And it's not necessarily a NATO thing. Oh, I applaud President Trump's effort. So have NATO allies, even many Democrats. Is this what happened?
I don't like to talk in hypotheticals because of my position and because of the negotiations taking place right now. What I will tell you is right now what we are hearing and what we are seeing based on the actions of both the Iranian and the Israeli government is that this strike did impact their nuclear program. And in my opinion, it did shut it down. Granted, I haven't seen the official classified report, but what I will tell you is not any other president, nor Democrat nor Republican, could get Iran and Israel to come to the table and broker a peace deal. And in any way, shape, or form, there's so many people, innocent civilians in both Israel and Iran, that are subject to potentially getting hurt if we cannot come in and negotiate peace. So in my opinion, regardless of the outcome, peace is 100% a win. And I think that it's important for people to realize that our decisions here have real implications. I don't think any other president would have been able to do that. And as a result of that, I do applaud President Trump's efforts. So many members of NATO and frankly...
Okay, so anyway, that has nothing to do with it. Also, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth is being, his name's being bandied about because of what he said to a Fox News reporter yesterday. He was a little upset with the media on how they were portraying the success or of the mission that they had with the 7 bombers and so on and so forth, where they were building a golf course in Iran. Let's see. So, well, before I do that, thank you, Epcot Diabli, dropping a small bullet in the tip jar. Who says, speaking of NATO, did you see the Q&A Trump did where he casually dropped that over the last week he has taken apart 4 other ceasefire agreements not having to do with Iran and Israel, including one in the Congo? No, I did not see that. So that's interesting. No, I did not see that. And that's maybe we'll find that in the links here in a second. But anyway, Pete Hegseth was very upset with this Fox News reporter and kind of gave her the business during a press conference regarding military things. Here it is.
It's about highly enriched uranium. Do you have certainty that all the highly enriched uranium was inside the Fordo Mountain, or some of it, because there were satellite photos that showed more than a dozen trucks there 2 days in advance? Are you certain none of that highly enriched uranium was moved?
Of course, we're watching every single aspect, but Jennifer, you've been about the worst, the one who misrepresents the most intentionally what the president says. I'm familiar.
About the ventilation shafts on Saturday night. And in fact, I was the first to describe the B-2 bombers, the refueling, the entire mission with great accuracy. So I take issue with that.
I appreciate you acknowledging that this was the first the most successful mission based on operational security that this department has done since you've been here, and I appreciate that. So we're looking at all aspects of intelligence and making sure we have a sense of what was where.
So anyway, I don't know what he was saying there, but what's this? This is exactly why we're recruiting numbers for the military right now. This man right here is a phenomenal Secretary of Defense. Let's see what this is about. I don't know. I haven't seen this clip either.
There are so many aspects of what our brave men and women did that because of the hatred of this press corps are undermined because people are trying to leak and spin that it wasn't successful. It's irresponsible. And folks in this room are privy to that information because of the proximity here in the Pentagon. It's an important responsibility. And time again, classified information is leaked or peddled for political purposes to try to make the president look bad. And what's really happening is you're undermining the success of incredible B-2 pilots and incredible F-35 pilots and incredible refuelers and incredible air defenders who accomplished their mission, set back a nuclear program in ways that other presidents would have dreamed. How about we celebrate that? How about we talk about how special America is, that only we have these capabilities? I think it's too much to ask, unfortunately, for the fake news. So we're used to that. But we also have an opportunity to stand at the podium and read the truth of what's really happening. And the reality is, you want to call it destroyed, you want to call it defeated, you want to call it obliterated, choose your word. This was an historically successful attack, and we should celebrate it as Americans, and it gives us a chance to have peace, chance to have a deal, and an opportunity to prevent a nuclear Iran, which is something President Trump talked about for 20 years, and no other presidents had the courage to actually do.
All right, so Heg's a little salty about how it's being played off in the media. I haven't paid attention to the media, so... Oops, let's stop that. Let's mute that. There we go. All right, Secretary of Defense is trending. Well, same thing. I'm going to skip that, too. Let's talk about... and Jennifer Griffith is the Fox reporter that he got into it with. Before I get talking about the New York mayor race, Fire Marshal Bowman is back. Yes, Jamal Bowman, former congressman from New York City. And he's... Well, I'm just going to play the clip. This is a clip that everyone's playing. Let's do the whole one. Well, let's see the 158. Let's do a longer clip here. Well, first of all, what caught my eye on this is the text down here and what they're talking about, where the Chiron says MAGA stars levy Islamophobic attacks against New York City winner, as in the New York City mayor's race. Listen, read that headline. MAGA stars levy Islamophobic attacks against New York winner. Are they walking in a room with vests? Are they snipering out of, the Citibank Center? What MAGA stars levy Islamophobic attack? Is talking about the man's religion an Islamophobic attack or no? Hello, Episcopos. Awesome. I'm trying to understand what that even means, but let's listen to this clip because there's something he says during this clip that's quite humorous. I'm just saying. Oh, Katie sends her love. Oh, good to hear. I haven't seen Katie in a long time. I'm assuming you mean Katie to skate, right? Anyway, here's fireman Jamal on This Is CNN.
Catholic pro-life ministries bombed. We are not dealing with America's original sin and its disease of hate and racism towards black and brown people and sexism towards women and anti-LGBT.
Jamal wants victim acknowledgement, even in cases where is everyone a victim? And basically, he's rattles off everybody, but certainly white men, which, you know, this is a very weak argument as far as I'm concerned. I mean, yes, there have been terrible things happening throughout the history of mankind, but for whatever reason, he's very fixated on being everyone being a victim, and we're not doing enough for the victims. Yeah, your good intentions don't always work out so well, Jamal.
People and sexism towards women and anti-LGBTQ sentiment. We are not dealing with that. Your colleagues in the Republican Party do not hold each other accountable when it comes to the racism that comes from the party on a consistent basis.
Okay, this is fascinating because I live in a Republican world, and there are certainly things that could sound racist or whatever, but the idea that people spend all their time thinking about these things the way Jamal Bowman does is, I hate to use the word exhausting, but it's just annoying. It's like, what are you talking about? It's projection in a way that, because that's all you talk about, you assume that that's what it is. And I'm just not seeing it. And I, as a man of melanated variety, it's some of it is just benign, and it's not, when people, which would be microaggressions, I would suppose. I just don't understand this line of thinking.
Congressman, I mean, where are you on? You can't be calm about this. I'm a black man in America. The reason why heart disease. I'm white. I can't comment. Listen to what I'm.
Oh, wait, here it is. Listen to this. Now listen to this line, because this is cracking me up.
I'm a black man in America. The reason why heart disease. I'm white. I can't comment. Listen to what I'm saying. The reason why heart disease and cancer and obesity and diabetes are bigger in the black community is because of the stress we carry from having to deal with being called the N-word directly or indirectly every day.
Wait a minute. Now notice what he does there. And look, I haven't heard, I can't remember last time I've heard someone use an N-bomb in like personal context for since I was a child, really. But as far as just people using the term, other than some idiots online every once in a while, right? But when he said directly or indirectly, does he mean for, like, because a lot of times he'll say, oh, if you say this, you're really saying an N-word. If you say DEI, you're really just saying N-word. What do you mean directly or indirectly? What does that even mean? And also the idea, listen to the argument again, because listen to what he said, rattles off as what that does to people.
That community is because of the reason why heart disease and cancer and obesity and diabetes are bigger in the black community is because of the stress we carry from having to deal with being called the N-word directly or indirectly every day. If your colleagues would listen.
Now, so are you saying his colleagues are saying that? Calling him that? What are you talking about? Also, heart disease, cancer, diabetes, aren't those all things that kind of come from diet? What you eat? I'm sorry. No, there's no he's like claiming the stress of that word directly or indirectly. When I just look, maybe he should look at some rap lyrics. Maybe we're just killing ourselves with rap lyrics. I don't know. It don't make any sense. Hello, number one. How you doing? And Willie is in the chat. I don't get it.
And try to learn and engage and grow and stop being so hateful, we could have a better country.
No, seriously, being so hateful. Where are you hearing this, Fireman Bowman? Where are you hearing this? That you're so traumatized. Where? I'm serious. Where? I don't. You know, I would even look at the comments and people say stupid shit online, and I don't see it. Where are you seeing this? Where are you hearing this? In the year of our Lord 2025. Yes, I did a current year argument. Where are you hearing this? I look for it and I don't hear it.
Jamal. But unfortunately, we're still here.
Jamal. No, we're still here in your imagination. It's just my imagination running away with me. It was just my imagination, 'cause I'm hearing lots of things about me. Indirectly. What? Thank you, JB. Dropping a deuce in the tip jar via super chat, saying calling black people the N-word gives them cancer. What? And I'm a black man, I could say this. Nigga, what? Except maybe sometimes YouTube doesn't think I'm a black man, so I don't know if I can get away with that or not. But I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Fireman Bowman?
From one Jamal, I feel your passion and I understand where you're coming from. Sincerely, I really, really do. It happens on both sides, Jamal. You might think it happens more on your side.
No.
Jamal.
No, it doesn't. And I'm not saying even. By the way, there are studies that show people on the left are far more antagonistic to people on the right than the other way around. I don't know if that's what he means here, but I'm not even going to give this guy this point, because no, it really doesn't. So I don't know.
When I leave the show, Jamal, you should see my Twitter feed.
And they're acquitted. Rodney King, Abner Louima, Eric Gardner, Trey.
You know, it's funny. There's a reason he has a list that it goes back to the 90s, and he can name all of them. Why? Because they all get publicized. They don't publicize every person who's not black who is killed by the police, every unarmed person that's not black that gets killed. You don't have marches for the people who are not black who get killed by the police in wrongful death suits. You know, that dude down in Texas, the same week that George Floyd died, there was no press about him whatsoever. Very extremely similar situations. White dude. You look, you can give me your list of protest march names, and still they're usually few and far between. Now it's not, and look, you don't want anyone dying, but damn.
Trayvon Martin, black cops in Memphis. It's not the same, and I don't want to qualify or quantify pain. That's not what I'm talking about.
Yes, you are. That's exactly what you're trying to do, though. You're quantifying pain that didn't happen to you. So you use it. You just use it.
Everyone goes through pain. But the racism in this country is a disease that will destroy us. And it's destroying us right now.
This motherfucker. Being a American of years, there's nothing like it's nothing like when I was a child. Not even close. And these people act like they're being stepped on the boot by a boot. I don't understand it. I don't understand the need to be downtrodden, oppressed, except to use it as a tool to gain power. It makes no sense. And obviously he lost his seat anyway in Congress.
As we speak, January 6th, everybody was pardoned. Everybody's pardoned.
Yeah, for being in jail without a charge for 4 years. And guess what? You know who else Donald Trump let out of jail? About 3,000 convicted felons who are nonviolent felons who are mostly of color. You forget those pardons. You forget those sentences that were commuted. You forget those, Jamal? Oh, yeah. You know, during the, what do you call it? The prison reform bill. You forget about those. He pardoned those people too. And the vast majority of the people who got convicted for things in January 6th were not violent. They were just in the building. They were in the wrong place at the wrong time. They got let into a building by a bunch of cops, and then some of them got held in solitary confinement for 4 years without charge. But most of the ones that were even violent, or some that weren't even there, got sent to prison. For doing what? Yeah, First Step Back. Thank you.
Riots in L.A., they're insurrectionists. But we pardoned everyone January 6th.
January 6th lasted 3 hours, Jamal. They didn't burn down any buildings. They weren't throwing rocks at cops. The cops started throwing flashbangs into the crowd and beating people with billy clubs, and they pushed back. But it was over in 3 hours. They all dispersed and went home in about 3 hours. That's why there were no National Guard there. People are like, oh, why did he send National Guard on January 6th? Well, he tried to do it in advance. And it got rejected by Bowser and Nancy Pelosi. Now, had it gone on longer, had they started burning down the halls of Congress, had they start destroying the entire Capitol, they probably would have brought in the National Guard. But they left within 3 hours. After some guided tours went on. Good God. Stop talking about January 6th. You guys lie out of your fucking teeth. I wish that someone would come and actually show more video of it, of how it all began. So, lots of people posting that clip of Fireman Bowman. Not just stupid shit. FTG Jamal Bowman. All right, New York. Let's talk about New York. Yeah, FTG Fireman Bowman. FTG Fireman Bowman. I prefer to call him that. If you don't know why I call him that, hello Renee Mayette, what's up? If you don't know why I call him that, he's the one, that's the former congressman, who pulled a fire alarm in the halls of Congress so they could avoid a vote or postpone a vote. That lying piece of shit. Marty, you need to convince me why destroying Congress is a bad thing. Oh, I don't. No, I don't. It would be a bad thing. It's how we govern. But just the fact that we have some dumbasses in there. So glad that he's no longer there, though. All right, let's talk about New York City. Get a rope. Oh, I can't say. Well, I can say that because I'm not. No one will ever accuse me of saying, anything like that. So no, it's not. You little shit. Shut up. Go to hell. New York City, obviously in the news big time because I keep wanting to calling him Zoran. Zoran Mamdani won the Democrat primary for the mayor of New York City. Now, current Mayor Adams, I believe, is still running as an independent. Mario Cuomo, who came in second in that Democratic primary balloting, apparently conceded he wasn't going to wait to see if the ranked choice voting would get him up and over the hump. So this self-described democratic socialist, which is an oxymoron. And let's just put it that way. For democracy and socialism to be combined, you can't have the authoritarian edge. But anyway, so lots of people talking about this, and so we're going to go through a few. One is our friend Billboard Chris said he's coming to New York City with a sign that says Zoran Mandani wants to sterilize kids. He plans to spend $65 million on childhood sex changes. This communist radical must not be allowed to win. And he posted this clip of Mandami. So let's see what this is. After, hold on. Wait, there we go. What the hell happened there? No. I was trying to. All right.
One of the things that we've said.
Shut up. I'll just wait. Anyway, thank you, Ty Alexander, dropping to 2:30 the tip jar. I appreciate it. And did I never do yesterday's? I never did yesterday. I've been gone so long. I keep forgetting to reset the superstar sponsor of the day. I know it's still Avocado Stiabli though. Tyre says, I grew up in a golden age of race relations. No one gave a damn about your skin color and saw people for people. Compared to the past, it was night and day. Groups like the KKK was dying and becoming fringe. These fucks gave racism a new lease on life. They kind of do. It's like, even now, they'll mention the KKK right now. How many people are still in the KKK? When do you hear about the KKK? They might have, do they have 20,000 members nationwide now? Out of 360 million people. And do they have any power whatsoever anywhere? Does anyone respect them? And they tried to make the Proud Boys the new KKK because they don't know who the Proud Boys are, really. All they heard was Biden say Proud Boys, and then they tried to railroad Proud Boys and some things on January 6th. But they have no idea who they are. Proud Boys have never been. They tried to say Proud Boys white nationalists. And they never were. Okay, that's not even wasn't the purpose of them coming out. They constantly try to make this right-wing extremist argument when it's the left that burns down buildings right now. And it's the left who actually kills people. Now, this dickhead in Minnesota, no one knows about him. And if he is right-wing, fuck him too. He can rot out of the jail because we don't want anything to do with him. But anyway, so here's Billboard Chris mentioned this guy, this mayor candidate wants to sterilize kids.
One of the things that we've said, beyond saying that we're going to make this a sanctuary city for LGBTQIA plus workers, beyond saying that we're going to establish an office of LGBTQIA plus affairs, is
why
we're going to provide $65 million in funding for gender-affirming care, the same amount of funding that the federal government threatened to pull out from local providers for that kind of work.
First of all, the federal government wasn't. If the federal government was giving dollars for gender affirming care, why? That's elective stuff. But he's committing to $65 million for gender affirming care in New York City. Wait, that is woman right? No, that is not. That's a trans woman. What's her name? She's the actor, or whatever the fuck the person is. Anyway. Lily Tang, a Chinese immigrant and very conservative. I wouldn't say politician because she's never won office, but she's run for office. She's got some words about Zoran.
Hi, this is Lily Tang Williams in New Hampshire, about to cook my dinner in my backyard. And we were just in New York City yesterday and gave a talk. And then the primary night, a socialist won the primary as a Democrat. I just want to share with people. I live in China for 24 years. I own nothing. And New York City is an American city built by free market capitalism and entrepreneurs for generations. We don't want to lose to socialists. And I want you to go to my website, donate to me, LilyTangWilliams.com, run for Congress. I cannot wait to go to the Congress floor, to school, AOC, and the Bernie Sanders, all the socialist progressive Democrats. Live free or die. And thank you.
So Lily It's definitely gone on being a New Hampshireite or whatever you call it, from someone from New Hampshire. So anyway, you know, I asked the question in the thumbnail. Well, what was my specific words here? My problem or nah? That New York City might have a socialist mayor. Because I saw someone make a video. They were from Alabama, and they were saying, "Well, you know, we down here in Alabama, everyone's all up in arms about the New York City mayor race, and it's not going to affect them at all." Does it affect America though if this guy starts pulling off some of the things he does? Because you know, here's the problem. If you think about what's going on in California with the one-party rule out there and some of the crazy shit that they've been passing out there, and you know, you're going to have this shit in New York State. Of course, granted, other people in other parts of the country see this and they cringe and see how badly it's going in California, for example. So maybe that's a deterrent. But here's some of the things that this guy's proposing. And now, again, this is Fox News' rundown of it, whatever. Universal free child care. Okay. Who's gonna pay for that? Free buses for all in New York City. Remember how big New York City is. How much is it going to cost to run free buses around New York City? I mean, I've been in several progressive cities around the world. None of them have free bus service or free subway service. City-run grocery stores. Now, that seems like a recipe for disaster. Okay, you get city-run grocery stores, and they undermine the privately owned grocery stores or corporate-owned grocery stores. And then are you going to end up with food shortages because people aren't competing to get food out for people? No cost childcare. Wait a minute. So now universal free childcare, no cost childcare. What's the difference between those? I think Fox is double dipping here. A new anti-police safety department. He doesn't like the police. He wants to get rid of the police. And creating an office of LGBTQIA affairs, which I don't care, but it's like, what all do you need to do to have that department? What does that even mean? Because you're going to have a special office, half of the people based on who they're screwing or loving, we'll put it that way, because it's not always just screwing. And then the other half, people who really don't know who they are. They just, they make some shit up, Someone here says, this is a New York Marine lady vet or whatever. Can I ask everybody in New York City that voted for Mandani, if you forgot September 11th, you're literally begging for the cult who destroyed your city and took out thousands of lives to destroy it when it finally once and for all. Now that may be where the Islamophobic part came out. But is it a legitimate question, seeing as he spent some time talking about that in various interviews? In fact, here, Islam has already conquered New York City and is slowly conquering the rest of the United States. Islam must have no refuge here. So, yeah, this has happened in Times Square. Might be a one-off, but we know that Islam doesn't always preach peace. Let's just put it that way. Nancy Mace, in New York, if you can't find parking, you can't afford rent. But don't worry, you soon won't be able to find a cop either. What a disgrace. So here's some of the writings of Mandami. This one says, queer libertarian means defund the police. Okay, that's going to go out well, because it said the protest march that began on the Stonewall Inn has been accompanied by a heavy police presence. The march stopped and the police began arresting people on Broadway and Soho. That here, the police used their bikes to shove members of the press. Unclear why. Then he says right here, from coast to coast right now, mayors and governors of deep blue cities and states are collaborating with a violent right-wing government to enforce curfews, round up protesters, and run them down in the street, including the New York mayor. Defund the NYPD. And Donald Trump said, let New York's finest be New York's finest. There's nobody better, but they must be allowed to do their job. Up here, the question, Cuomo, when people are saying defund the police, they're saying they want to see real fundamental change. He says the state is passing an important package of reforms and local police and mayor departments must also hear the whatever. And he says, no, we want to defund the police. So he's a defund the police guy. What are you going to replace them with? Oh, social workers who can talk people off the ledge? Or, now here it is. We'll have to wait to see if our lead holds, but to be leading even amidst a global pandemic makes it clear another world really is possible. Together we will tax the rich, heal the sick, house the poor, defund the police, and build a social network. So his defund the police thing has gone is a pretty consistent theme in some of his writings. By the way, Curtis Sliwa, the only one remaining that can save New York City from itself. A vote for Damme is a vote for Sharia law. Vote Sliwa for mayor if you know what's good for you. I think what's going to have to happen, because right now Cuomo's talking about running as an independent. Eric Adams is talking about running as an independent. And Sliwa, I guess, won the Republican nomination. I like the guy. I just don't know that his following is strong enough in New York City, even in New York City, to say, oh, we want him for mayor, because some people think of it as a nut job. Speaking about Damme, also, someone here says, Curtis Sliwa himself says, the only job I'm focused on is earning your support to be the next mayor of New York City. I'm listening to the working people fighting every day just to stay here. They support me because I'm the only one who will lower the cost of living and make New York City safer for all of us. I'm running to serve you and move this city forward on January 1st, 2026. No one else. For anyone who's really concerned about the Muslim communist being mayor of New York City, please remember that New York City already elected Tish James, AOC, Chuck Schumer, Alvin Bragg, Kathy Hochul, Akeem Jeffries, Jerry Nadler, and Yusuf Salam. Central Park. Oh my God. Yeah, he was one of the Central Park Five. Changed his name. So anyway, let's go to one of these articles. Mondani's supporters celebrate win with cries of globalize the Intifada. Oh my God. Meaning, let's kill all the Jews. Far left Zoran Mondani supporters across the country celebrated their candidate's victory in the New York Democratic mayoral primary on Tuesday with cheers of globalize the Intifada. Mondani made headlines over his refusal to condemn the phrase, a call for violence against Jews and Israelis, in a recent interview, a decision that led to the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum to issue a statement sharply criticizing the candidate. While Mondani has not publicly chanted the slogan, pro-Hamas protesters on college campuses in the United States often do so during their demonstrations. In recent weeks, radical pro-Hamas terrorists have globalized the Intifada themselves, culminating in the Washington, D.C. shooting that left 2 young Israeli diplomats dead and firebombing of a group of Jews in Boulder. One Mondani supporter reacted on Tuesday night's election results with Mohammed El-Kurd, a Palestinian writer who correspondent for The Nation, with a history of advocating violence against Jews. Consider the Intifada globalized, he wrote on X. Oh, fan-fucking-tastic. That's fantastic. Hello, Reaction Puerto Rico. Who says, I remember people from New York City telling me how they felt safe when a guardian angel was in the subway back in the 80s. Oh, absolutely. They did. They're at vigilante group, something, whatever. They were the neighborhood watch of the day. And we're all trained in martial arts or whatever. And so people tended not to fuck with them. They were also very attuned to the law and the laws of, not only the laws of self-defense, but the laws of citizens' arrests. That was the other thing they were very in tune to. All right. Continuing, El-Kurd, which is the Palestinian writer, who said considered the Intifada globalized, faced scrutiny from British authorities last week after declaring, quote, we must normalize massacres as the status quo, end quote, at an anti-Israel rally. He He has praised Palestinian martyrs who took part in the Second Intifada, in which terrorists killed over 1,000 Israelis, and has described Israelis as neo-Nazi pigs. Well, that's pretty harsh. El-Kurd also excused Hamas's October 7th massacre in an X post published that same day. Quote, "What is happening in occupied Palestine is a response to weeks and months and years of daily Israeli military invasions into Palestinian towns, killings of Palestinians, and the very fact that millions of Palestinians in the Gaza Strip are besieged under Israeli blockade," he wrote. Months earlier in February, El-Kurd delivered a lecture at Princeton University where Professor Zahid Chaudhry heralded him as the truth teller. So I don't know why they're going so much into him. Then they move on to Hassan Piker, who also endorsed or is a supporter of Zoran. Twitch streamer Hassan Piker, recently the subject of a glowing New York Times profile, posted on X that it's white boy jihad summer. Piker said that America deserved 9/11 and his claim. Well, we know Hassan Piker, he's a dickhead. So anyway, they give more examples of these people because this guy won the primary. Globalize the Intifada. Oh my God, are you serious? Just FTG to all those fuckers. I can't even name them all. So other things trending because of this. What was this one? Oh, here it is. Bandani wins New York City mayoral primary. Bold policies under scrutiny. Zoran Bandani, state assemblyman, has emerged as the Democratic nominee for New York City mayor, defeating prominent figures like Andrew Cuomo. His campaign focuses on radical proposals such as implementing a $30 minimum wage. Oh, go for it, New York City. All the businesses will leave. You realize the problem they're having in Seattle after they went to a $20 minimum wage, right? Lots of businesses closed immediately after that went into effect. And especially restaurants are dying there. And the same thing in Portland, I think, is happening. And, and it's funny because, no matter how many times they say that, the minimum wage hasn't been raised since 1999, they still don't care that there's some illegal aliens working for less than minimum wage. Also, they really don't seem to realize that other than them, no one's working minimum wage jobs. Entry-level jobs at McDonald's pay more than minimum wage by far. So I don't even see the point of minimum wage. Minimum wage is what people will work for. And if you can't get work, you have to pay a little more, and maybe you'll get more people to work there. So, raising the minimum wage is going to be a bullet fix for, first of all, for income for people who are working, but it's also going to be a big detriment to people who run businesses. So good luck with that. He's also talked about freezing rent prices, so rent control, which lowers supply of places to live. It's like you try these things that they've done before that didn't work, and then you go want to try them again because it sounds good. And that may be the problem with people on the left or Democrats or whatever you want to call them. You admire their compassion, even if their ideas are stupid. But their ideas are stupid. They don't work. And we've proven that, especially in California. It's been 100% Democrat rule for 10 years now. It doesn't work. It does not feed more homeless people. It breeds more homeless people. It doesn't feed people. It makes it harder for people to get food. It doesn't help the economy, at least personal economies, because everything costs more. It's just a shit show. Anyway. And then some of his other ideas: free childcare, establishing government-run grocery stores. Critics express concerns over potential economic downturn and impacts on small businesses, while supporters highlight the benefit of increased affordability and social equity. Whatever. So here's a clip on Zohan from Eric Adams posted this, and he's still running for mayor. Let's see what Eric Adams has to say. Click. There we go.
He will say and do anything to get elected. Think about this for a moment. He wants to raise 1% He wants to raise tax on 1% of New York's high-income earners. As the mayor, you don't have the authority to do that. You know who has the authority to do that? An assemblyman, which he is. He wants to do free buses. He could have done it at assemblyman. He doesn't understand the power of government and how you must making sure you improve your economy, raise the standard of living. And this is what we've done in the city. And I'm looking forward to being on the campaign trail and showing New Yorkers we can't go backwards. And New Yorkers never surrender or quit. I'm never going to quit for the city that I love. He was.
All right. So that's Eric Adams talking about Mamdani. And he says he's going to lower prices by making stores owned by the government. Now, this is interesting, too, because, sure, a government store doesn't necessarily need to make a profit, but I live in a state that there are still a few municipalities that have municipal liquor stores, for example, but then there are competing liquor stores all over the place. And shocker, I know this will be a shocker, but the liquor store prices at the municipal liquor store are higher than a lot of the other liquor stores. So I'm curious what how he thinks this is going to work. Here it is.
Grocery prices are out of control. The cost of eggs and milk has skyrocketed. Some stores are even...
Price of eggs has gone down back to almost pre-Biden levels. I buy eggs all the time.
Using dynamic pricing, jacking up the cost over the course of a day depending on what they can get away with. It doesn't need to be this way. I'm Zahran Mamdani, and as mayor, I will create a network of city-owned grocery stores. It's like a public option for produce. We will redirect city funds from corporate supermarkets to city-owned grocery stores, whose mission is lower prices, not pricing.
Wait a minute. You direct funds towards corporate stores right now? Why are you doing that? What are you talking about? I'm just curious.
These stores will operate without a profit motive or having to pay property taxes or rent, and will pass on those savings to you. Grocery prices are...
Sounds great. Sounds great. Are they going to have fewer options because they're government run? Are they going to have to figure out when they go over budget what they get to cut? So I don't know. Here's what's going to happen to the government grocery stores in New York City. Stores will sell goods at below cost, subsidized by the taxpayers. People will steal from stores without fear of reprisal. People will buy goods at below market prices and resell them. Private grocery stores unable to compete will go out of business. Food shortages will develop, followed by civil unrest and starvation. Mayor will blame capitalism. Oh, absolutely, they will blame capitalism. That's when it fails, who do they blame? They'll blame capitalism. Anyway. All right. What else is just a couple of things trending. Mamdani's trending. We already kind of went through that. Socialism is trending because, of course, and then what was the last one? Oh, and then Eric Adams is trending. I'll leave all these open. I had one article that I wanted to go through, just a little kerfluffle in Congress. Oh, wait, here's this news. Oil prices have ticked up based on strong American demand. Oil prices rose over 1% on Wednesday, recovering from a sharp slide earlier this week. And that's interesting because I noticed that on the gas, it shouldn't have an immediate effect on gas prices, but it did because I bought gas at Sam's Club for $2.81 a gallon on Tuesday. And then I drove back by there yesterday and it was up to $2.94, which still is pretty good considering it's 50% less than any of the 4 years this time of year during the Biden administration. But notice how nobody's talking about that. Anyway, the oil prices rose over 1% on Wednesday, recovering from a sharp slide earlier this week, as data showed relatively strong U.S. demand, and as investors assess the ability of a ceasefire between Iran and Israel. And then it just talks about different types of crude and different cost. But yeah, so you might see a slight price hit in gas prices over the next few weeks if you haven't already. All right, I'm going to finish up with this one. Another congressperson upset, just apoplectic that, my God, a Republican might mention the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. And so here it is.
This is a very, very difficult conversation. I'm a great granddaughter of someone who had a literal yoke on her neck. A literal yoke. And I will give the 4.5 minutes of my time to my people.
Anytime I hear
Malvern,
something like that, because my great-grandfather was a slave. Was born a slave, but died owning an 80-acre farm in Iowa. And then he handed that down to my great uncle. And I don't think that he would be, if he were alive, he'd just be telling me, get your ass to work. I don't, yes, your great grandmother had a yoke around her neck, right? And you're sitting in the halls of Congress. There's a word for that. There is a word for that. And I think what is it called? Progress. There's progress. I mean, think about that. So nobody's stuck in their caste in the United States. We don't have a caste system. That just tells you that anybody from any walk of life can change the situation for the good, for better, for worse. There are people born with silver spoons, millions in their mouth, who die dead broke, and vice versa. And so if you're going to have a sob story while you're sitting in Congress, I'm confused, honestly. And if you were on a street corner, standing on a soapbox because you lost your job at the auto manufacturer down the road, and you were talking about this being beat down, I'd be concerned. But I'm curious what she's going to say here.
Arkansas, from those fields. And I want to be clear that 4 out of the 5 of you last year posted on your social media the words of Dr. King.
Good.
And there are so few folks who...
Everybody should post the words of Dr. King. She's going to tell them they can't. Listen.
Actually have studied, who are clear on the theology of freedom of King. Very few of you have read and studied and have sat in Ebenezer Baptist Church, so I would ask you keep Dr. King's name out of your mouth. If you, like me and the many scholars who will be watching, studied King, you know that he and the mothers and the fathers of the civil rights movement and of the movement for emancipation not only would be struck by the conversations in this room, but would be shattered by the consequence of lies, of hatred, of abuse of this administration. And
she's sounding pretty hateful there herself, isn't she? And so I love when they talk about the other side's hatred while they're gnarling their teeth. Their eyes are squinting and they're talking in a very angry tone about your hate.
in the name of folks who worked to make this country more free. Children of Abraham, for real. I want to be clear for the young people that are listening today here in this audience, this conversation is not about an acronym. It's just not. It's just not. This is a conversation. It's an attack. It's an attack on what you see right here. Now see, who's on this side of the dais? This was never the plan. It was never the plan to have people of color in positions where they would be able to speak from this place. In fact,
and yet here you are on the dais. Acknowledge that. Holy shit.
Folks had to fight tooth or nail to gain access to the front door to this Capitol.
Good God.
I want to be very clear about that. Today's hearing says quietly and actually out loud who the majority believe is allowed to belong in this country. They
Oh.
use Dr. King's name in deep vein, who has a place in the hierarchy that was never meant to be questioned. The majority is leading a coordinated effort, I want to be clear, to push us back to a segregated America based on race.
Bitch, please. Give me the evidence that you want a segregated America based on race. What the hell are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about? They're going to put you back in chains? Is that you following old Joe Biden line? Give me a fucking break.
Based on ethnicity, based on national origin,
Nonsense.
based on sex,
Nonsense.
based on sexual orientation.
Nonsense.
And
Well,
gender
based
identity.
on sex, who are they going to have sex with if you segregate based on sex? What are you talking about? You're the only people who constantly talk about categories are Democrats. Constantly. Everyone's oppressed, but a handful of people. And everyone else is the oppressors. Holy shit.
Identity and disability. Inclusion.
Oh, we're gonna. So she decides to go. Everyone. The GOP, the other side wants to segregate everyone based on every single trait you might have that I can throw into the pot. Holy shit.
As a disabled woman, they have been very, very clear, including folks who look different than the standardized white man in this country, folks who are disabled, folks who love differently. Those folks should not be at the center of power. That's the plan. They are motivated by a fear of a multiracial and a multicultural democracy.
We are already multiracial, multicultural. Democracy and how we get to our representative republic. But you know what I'm saying.
A fear that
this is
freedom
projection
of co-equal citizens living
Projection.
as their authentic selves with pride and a fear. They have a fear of accountability.
She wrote this down,
We must
too.
name this conversation today for what it truly is. It is a bigotry. It is a hypocrisy. Republicans, like I said before, will quote Dr. King all day, will bring forth Lincoln, and will talk about Frederick Douglass in the same breath that they are gutting civil rights offices in our governments. In the same breath where they seek to ban AP African American Studies that tells the true story of this country. It ain't just one story, it is a complete story. But folks on this dais don't want you to learn it. The hypocrisy from the Republicans is not only shameful, it is anti-American. President Trump and others have purged more than 275,000 federal workers through mass terminations and unlawful firings, while, check this out, preparing draft hiring guidance that would screen job applicants for political loyalty to the administration rather than the Constitution.
Well, that's interesting because you mean all the people they hired, they stopped hiring people. Remember the military too? They had the thing where they were talking about whether you might have extremist views, and usually they just think if you had any right of center political positions. Remember that? That's the irony here.
The Trump administration put 500,000 qualified federal workers with disabilities, jobs at risk. Half of those are veterans.
What?
The Trump administration.
What? How so? 500,000 federal workers with job disability. I can't even believe you have that. There's that many people working in government with disabilities. That's amazing. I had no idea.
Administration has forced out transgender service members who have served their country with loyalty and love while elevating dangerously unqualified news anchors to lead our nation's Defense Department.
Oh, there she goes. The guy with the Princeton undergrad and Harvard master's degree and 20 years of military service. The news host unqualified to be the Secretary of Defense. What a dummy.
The Trump administration rewards loyalty over expertise, obedience over justice. These attacks are central to a broader agenda. Let me just finish this one sentence that criminalizes protest, that bans books. That
Does it criminalize protest? It criminalizes criminal behavior, burning shit, burning people's property, rioting. And the banned books, if you can name one book, miss, if you can name one book that actually has been banned. Now, think hard. Is there a single book that's been banned? I'm pretty sure some of those books that are not appropriate for children in elementary schools are still in the bookshelves, or you can still buy them at Amazon or in the bookstore or whatever. And I'm sure if their parents insist that they want them to read these books about, having sexual encounters with adults when they're children and shit like that, if the parents want to give them that shit, they still can. They're just not appropriate for school. That's not banning books. That's removing books that are not age appropriate out of libraries. That's not banning books. The books are not banned. Not a single book has been banned.
That erases history and redefines its national identity in narrow and violent terms. A 1950s America is what the goal of this conversation is. And some of us say,
it's funny. I don't think anyone's ever said that. Like, no one on the right certainly thinks of that. They're probably just wanting to maybe nostalgia about the 90s when race relations might have been at their best until Rodney King. I don't know.
Hell no.
Yeah.
This is a very, very difficult.
This is very embarrassing. And that's it.
Too bad they don't do it. I gotta give a shout.
Hang on, I'll shut that down. All right. I don't even know any more to say about that one. Thanks to everyone who's also been sharing the show. I got the aggregator and the link stakes. I didn't have a whole lot of articles. And so what the hell's going on here? 3210. Come on, computer. Hello. How are you? There we go. All right. I'm going to drop the links for the show today in the chat from just different things we talked about. Plus, I'm going to put the aggregator from Ace of Spades blog. There's a lot of great articles in there. I highly recommend you check it out. Here are the links for today in the chat as I speak. Bam. There we go. All right. That's it. Thank you for joining me in the Morning Night Live. I'll be here tomorrow. Oh, I may not be here tomorrow. There's a possibility that I won't have a show tomorrow. I have to go to Omaha for celebrating the life of one of our good friends' parents, who was a great man. And if I do a show tomorrow, it's going to be short. But maybe we'll just do like Q&A and then get out of here. We'll see. I might have to leave earlier than I intended just because it's a 6-hour drive. But anyway, thanks everybody for joining me on the Morning Night Live. We'll see you the next time. I hope you have a lovely day. Gotta go. My name's PDawgKnight, and I am out of here. Bye-bye. Have a great day. Hey, this is PDawgKnight, and thanks for watching today on the PDawgKnight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cashapp, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here.